welcome to another review. This time it's the Dark World Thor Light Asgardian version. It's an amazing piece, let me tell you that. We'll start off with a box. I'll try to show you as much details as I could. As you can see, this is the front. It's not really scratched up. I guess it's the design that's meant to be scratched up. As you can tell from the shape and the design, this is trying to mimic Thor's Mjolnir, basically his hammer. The shape, it's amazing. It's a big box. It's a big boy box. So this is one of those boxes where I would give it a 5 out of 5. Not because it's Thor. I don't like Thor that much, but the design and it's nice. It's shiny. It has a lot of details on it. Some good artwork, even on the back. I would probably display it alongside my not Man of Steel, but Superman box from Christopher Reeves. Normally I just put my box right inside the shipper boxes, because they take too much space. But hey, this guy is I don't know, I just like the box. I just like the overall look. As you can see from the panel, it's kind of like shoebox type. It does have the poncho. Hot Toys typically does this kind of things. This is the panel, not the panel, but the inlay. Also nice watercolor look on the box. This is the casting crew. Pretty nice. I like the overall look, as I would say, in the box. And now we'll jump into the accessories. We'll start off. This is the manual. Make sure you read the manual as well. It's easy to overlook things, how to remove certain items and whatnot. So, I didn't. So, I almost had a tumble there. And he comes with 3 pairs of hands. As you can see, the normal relaxed palm hands. Just the typical hands. I'll just show them to you anyway. Although this is the first time that I've seen Hot Toys, and I missed it. I missed shooting this on the video, but his peg inside the body on his arm, it's kind of metal. So it doesn't really affect the hands or the pegs or anything, but it makes the peg, being taken in and out of the hands pretty easy. And that could be a positive thing. I see it as a positive one, but it depends on how you look at things. There you go. And this is his hammer holding hand, and right out of the box he comes with a fisted hand. So you got some variations there, typically what you would see in a Thor figure. And now we'll jump into his signature accessory, which is Mjolnir. You know what, I never had the Avengers Thor. I had the first version of Thor. I would say they look pretty much the same. The first version is, they have some weight on it. It's pretty heavy. This one's scratched up. They said there's a lot of details on it. More details on this one, I would say. Maybe on the handle part, because the handle part is, I don't know, it just feels different. But as far as design is concerned, I can't remember, because I already sold my V1 Thor. And like I said, I never had the Avengers one. But yeah, you can see there's a bunch of details here. But as far as I can remember, the first one does have one too. Maybe the difference is the handle, because I know on the handle part, as you can see here, I'm just showing you some. I mean, regardless whether it's the same or not, it's amazing details on the hammer. Look at that. And it's made out of metal, so it has some weight on it. So it makes it feel like a real hammer. And not a real hammer, obviously, but it feels different. And if only the camera would just focus on the handle, so I can show you. It's made out of leather. It's like a brown leatherish thing. And then on the, I guess the biggest difference is, oh, here you go. Yeah, this one. It looks like it's wrapped via leather. As you can see, some details on the end part as well. This is tiny details. This you can barely see it with your naked eye. We're lucky. Just I'm using a macro lens here, but yep. And once you hold it, you can feel the leather, on the handle, and also right here at the bottom. Yeah, and it's sturdy too. The one that I don't know what you call that leather thing at the end. I guess the holder or whatnot. But yeah, just don't put too much weight on it, I guess, because it might break. So if you're trying to hang the hammer, I wouldn't suggest that. And moving past, and you're pretty much gonna get the same accessory as if you buy the regular version. He comes with extra I want to call this buttons. I don't really know what to call this, but they look buttons. They're the one connecting your cape into the armor. So they give you an extra one just in case you break the other one, because honestly they're pretty hard to take out. You know, I mean, now it's okay, but my first time I wasn't sure, because you know, whenever you hold a $300 figure, you know, it's always a delicate situation. And this is the tool that you use basically just to guide you. Do not use this to pry the buttons out. I tried that because I didn't read the instructions. Do not, because you're gonna break it. Luckily I didn't break mine, but you know, it was a scare. And I would say this is one of the accessories that separates the Asgardian, the light Asgardian version to the regular version, is this awesome base. And I know this is pretty much a redone, you know, base from, I would say, Evil Superman, but you know, this is the first time I'm seeing it. It's a lot of details on it. It's pretty cool. I would say it's as big as Man of Steel, obviously different shape, but this one I don't know, I just like the rock base, you know, effect. It's cool, and he can even stand on it even if you don't put the metal rod, which I mean I'm displaying it with it, but there's enough grooves on the rocks that he can, you know, that can support him standing by himself. I guess I'm just showing you some details on it, and you can pretty much use this, you know, I guess on any figure because it's so generic. I mean, if I kind of cover the word Thor on the front, you know, like his nameplate, then you can pretty much use this for anything. Amazing details on this. And like I said, for those who has Evil Superman, this is nothing new to you. At the bottom it just says Marvel. And one thing interesting though is the metallic rod, the one that you use for the flying poses and stuff. Normally I wouldn't take it out of the plastic because, you know, I have Zod, but they won't fit. It's a different screw. I don't know, maybe this one's longer. Who knows? And now we'll jump into the figure itself. We'll start off at the bottom, as we always do. We'll start off his boots. You can see there's some, you know, weathering on his boots, and it's separate, you know, so there's articulation in the boots. And his boot part here on the top of his shin is movable, so I can see parts flying off on eBay after this is done. You know, there's some really cool details on this armor. You can see his what do you call that, arm guard. If you futz it around, you can cover that. You can see that gap on his wrist. So you know, I'm just doing a review like this guy. You know, you can make it less noticeable if you wanted to. I put in the relaxed palm hands. This is a separate piece, unlike in my first Thor. I know in the Avengers one they did the same thing, which is pretty cool. It's rubber. It's not like it's gonna fly around or anything, but I guess articulation wise it's better. Although his articulation in his legs are horrible. For some reason, I guess his pants is too tight or something like that. He can't even move his legs, I'd say 90 degrees. So watch other reviews for that, because I didn't do that on this review nor on any of my reviews. But his arm articulation is pretty good, surprisingly, with his arms, which is made out of rubber. And yeah, I'm just showing you the armor, and you know, you can see some seam, but you can futz it around and hide it. You can see there on the top one, but if you move it around just like Hulk, you can somewhat mask it. You know, I mean, it depends on the view that you're looking at, you know, some perspective, but you could hide it definitely. And you can see the arms, you know, there's no seam. I mean, on this type of figure, I would say yes, go for it. You can bend it, and you can see it kind of makes you cringe every once in a while when you bend it, because you can see the rubber just, you know, but it goes back. It's like a memory foam or something. But I'm pretty sure over time, if you keep on doing this, this would have some sort of effect on the rubber. It would deteriorate at some point. So if you have this figure, I would, you know, stick with poses which his arms are just straight up. You know, you can put his arms up. You can do a lot of things. And if you watched the Clipper King's review on this figure, he made a comparison between this and, you know, the other figure. Surprisingly, there's more articulation, so it seems. And you can see the hole on his armor, that's where the buttons that I showed you earlier goes to. You know, I just removed it so you have an idea. And on his shoulder pads, it's movable, which is gives you more movement, I would say, if you want to raise his hands or, you know, do some crazy poses. And it's the same buttons as the one on his armor. I don't know what it represents. This one is not removable. On the back part of his of this figure, I mean, there's a lot of details. I just love it. You know, there's so much details on this figure. And I've had the other Thor where his armor is more of a plastic, seems like a prison kind of thing. Not really that you know, exciting to move around with. And as you can see, the back part here now, yep, some made out of leather. Nice figure. There we go. I removed the cape on purpose, so we have more view. Otherwise, you'll just see a cape. You know, but you gotta appreciate the craftsmanship. And I removed the head as well, so because if you put the head in, and the hair is kind of covering the upper part of his armor. And this is the cape. Pretty nice. I'm pretty sure. Oh, there you go. You can see the difference from this shot. I thought I need to make something else, but yeah, there's some weathering on the cape. So if you receive the light Asgardian version, don't panic. Don't call Sideshow, because there's some apparently that's weathering on his cape. It doesn't come with the regular version, and those are the two buttons that comes along with it. Don't use the plastic tool to pry it out. Please do not. Don't break it. Use your hands. Use a little bit of force, because the first time I'm typically scared to, you know, play around with my hot toys because they're so expensive. But this one, you gotta use a little force. There you go. And the cape is pretty nice. It's secured. And now we'll jump into the head sculpt. My opinion, the best head sculpt yet from Hot Toys as far as Thor is concerned. I really think they nailed Chris Hemsworth this time. Not a big fan of the teeth, but you know what? Outside of the macro lens, it's not really that noticeable. You know, you're seeing it now, saying that it looks awful, but it really isn't. You know, it's extreme close up. But compared to the V1 Thor and the Avengers Thor, you can see how far Hot Toys have come in terms of likeness, and you can see that. You can see the texture in his face, some wrinkles. It is Hemsworth right here. It's spot on. I mean, can you do some improvements? Maybe the expression is not the best, but you know, it doesn't really bother me that much. I would prefer it not to have a teeth, but hey, as you can see, I showed you movable hair. It's pretty much the same as the Avengers one. It's made out of soft rubber, so you could, you know, you can position it, especially when it lays down, when you lay the head on top of the armor and it goes into the back of his cape. So, you know, it's pretty cool. Pretty nice figure. But there's not a whole lot of, I mean, you can't do a 360 or anything right now because of the constriction of the hair. But the hair sculpt is pretty cool as well. As you can see, there's some, I don't know what you call that, ponytail or a braid on the back of his hair. And this is soft rubber, so once you put the head in, you can still futz around with it if the cape got tangled or anything like that. But yeah, the likeness is just uncanny. You would know that it's Thor, it's Chris Hemsworth. And yeah, and you know what, there's not a big difference. Like I said, there's really not much of a difference between this and the regular version. Same head sculpt, same everything. The only difference is his arms is exposed and the base. So it all depends to you whether you wanted the cardboard box and the sleeve version or this. Initially, I wanted the sleeve version because I thought when it was upper pre-order that the regular version does not, I mean the light armor version does not come with a poncho, which I think is a good look. So I pre-ordered the other one, but it does come with a poncho too. So, you know, there's no point of ordering the regular one, in my opinion, than this one. So here we go. I'm sorry if my camera's a little shaky. This is my first time trying to use the Steadicam for DLSR. I normally just use them for weddings, but I'll try my best to, I guess, stabilize them here. Because I'm trying to do a flying pose, and sooner or later I'll get the hang of it. I'm just in a little tight space, and I'm not using really a wide angle lens, so you're gonna see some shakiness. But here it is on some of the poses that I put in. His hammer is kind of heavy for his hand, and like I said, so it's slowly coming down. It's slowly wanted to get removed out of the peg if he's holding it, so you got to be careful with that. And here it is with a poncho. Yeah, pretty sweet look. You know, I like it. You know, some different variations, whatever you feel like doing that day. You know, if you want to do the poncho look, more serious type Thor, you could. One thing that I do wish that Hot Toys would do again, because I know they've done this with Last Stand Wolverine and Superman, the Reeves one, is include a regular base. You know, because the big bases, they're cool, you know, if you have space. But if you're displaying this figure in a detolf or detolf, whatever you call that, it takes up a lot of space, and you know, you can't put one or two, you know, 3 or more figures at a time because the base is so big. So I wish down the line, you know, they're charging way too much nowadays, that, you know, a regular oval base wouldn't hurt. How much would that cost them? Like, really? But now, you as you can see, I gotta make him stand by his own or buy something from eBay. I mean, it shouldn't be that much, but it shouldn't something that we need to buy in a third party. And there you go. That's pretty much it. Now, if you're in a market for Thor, pick this one up. If you're gonna pick up one Thor, I mean, I can't tell you what to do. Obviously, you're with your money. Whether you like if you like the sleeve version, go right ahead. The reason I like this one better is because of it's more exclusive, I would say. Because down the line, this is not gonna be my last Thor. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna sell this down the line. You know, for the, I don't know, Avengers 2 Thor or whatnot. This is not the last Thor that we're gonna get, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be easier to move than the regular version because of the exclusivity of this one. That's a real word. I just invented it, I guess. It's exclusive. It has more accessories on it. The base is pretty cool, and I would say it's a better look. The sleeveless shirt, that's all in opinion, but you know, he looks the same way in Avengers 2. The one that I see on the screenshots at least. So yep, there you go. It's still available. Click the link down below. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It really helps me out. So till next time, folks.